in the sport. In just a few minutes, David will battle Goliath for the U.S. Harmon Association Racing Championship. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speedworld.
At the Roanoke Civic Center in beautiful Roanoke, Virginia. We're getting ready to see 9 of America's best monster trucks in action. They're going to be racing side by side, and only one of them is going to be the victor.
Welcome, everybody, to the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm Brett Gutner. We'll also get a chance to see one of the greatest stuntmen ever try to drive through a wall of cars. Brian Carson is back. Welcome to the 1991 Monster Truck Challenge Series.
Superstars of monster truck racing like Overkill, Weapon 1, and First Blood have traveled from all across the United States to take on the defending world champion Bigfoot truck.
And we win a major majority of our races. You know, like in last year, 1990, I think we won like 82% of all the races that we entered.
Since the beginning of this year, I've been on a roll, really. I've won 3 out of 5 events, and the other 2 I finished second at.
You know, we're always up in front. We're always in the top 4. And, you know, no matter what the race is, we're always in the top half of it. And it's week after week that we're doing it.
Things have been going really well this year, but I think tonight is going to be probably my toughest race of the year so far.
With the indoor tracks being so short, every second is very critical. I mean, the reaction times on the start is very important, and that will win the race for you.
I'm trying my hardest, and hopefully I can take them out.
It seems obvious that both drivers feel this may well be the showdown that makes or breaks their careers. It is that intense. Rob Bush out of Woodstock, Illinois, the 1989 U.S. Harmon Association Monster Truck category Rookie of the Year, will be first man here in qualifying for this 8-truck field. Tremendous amount of air as the first man out actually moves a little bit to the left of his own lane. Rob Bush slows after a very conservative starting line launch and then getting hard on the throttle while the machine was bouncing. Bush will settle for an elapsed time of 4.09 seconds. That will set the pace for the remainder of the competitors to move in as Bennett Clark out of Canton, Georgia moves his Chevrolet to the starting line. The beautiful pink Clydesdale has already become one of the most popular machines on the U.S. Harmon Association Tour. Unbelievable nosedive at the finish line, and only tremendous driving saved that from a disaster as the machine bounces all over. The machine goes nose heavy, but watch Bennett get back on the throttle to shoot the machine straight at the end of the course. The elapsed time, 3.76 seconds, will put Clydesdale number 1. But here is the winningest monster truck of all time. Bob Chandler's Bigfoot with John Bryant out of St. Louis, Missouri behind the wheel. Bryant finished in one of the top 5 positions in the U.S. Harmon Association competition last year. And a tremendous leap, by far the longest jump of this event so far, sets the crowd going wild. The elapsed time, 3.73 seconds. By 0.03 of a second will put Bryant number 1 in the field, knocking the Clydesdale down to number 2. As you can see, Bryant using up literally every single inch of the Roanoke floor, stopping right against the wall. Jerry Richmond out of Ashtabula, Ohio, in the Weapon 1 Chevrolet leads the line. Bouncing all over the place, Richmond brings the Chevrolet back to earth, and it's becoming apparent that the dirt mogul off the starting line is creating havoc for these drivers as they try to keep control. Weapon 1's elapsed time, 4.60 seconds. But stay tuned. We've got a lot more monster truck action coming your way. Welcome back to Roanoke, Virginia, as we continue qualifying for an 8-truck field of the biggest and best monster trucks in the sport. John Bryant currently leads qualifying in the dreaded Bigfoot Ford at 3.73 seconds, but here's one of the wildest newcomers in the entire world of monsters. Marty Garza and the Overkill Ford, a rear-engine machine that may well be one of the wildest in the sport. have done some serious front-end damage on that landing. The machine literally stopping exactly where it hit. Take a look at this launch from Cape Canaveral. Now the landing with the brakes locked up. A tremendous shock goes through the chassis, and you can see already at least a little bit of damage on the front end of the machine. The elapsed time, 4.60 seconds, won't help him in his battle for the pole either. The next machine on the starting line, Mike Wine out of New Jersey and the Outlaw Ford. Wine has already become a professional touring campaigner with the Super Winch sponsored Ford. And again, sideways at the finish line, the elapsed time 4.73 seconds. Meanwhile, the next pair of machines pulls to the line. Another showdown. Deppy and the Whiskey Business machine also utilizing Chevrolet power, although ironically the machine is not supercharged. And a rough landing on that last car. Positioning his beautiful Chevrolet on the starting line is Buffalo, New York's John Kwasniewski and the aptly named Buffalo Tremor monster truck. A newcomer of the U.S. Hobbit Association Tour, the 26-year-old in his first full season of competition on the U.S. Hobbit Association Trail. A conservative start, but then a wild sideways finish, and at 4:23 he'll qualify well. That could present some of the wildest elimination rounds ever when we come back. But stay tuned. We've got a lot more monster truck action coming your way. Welcome back to Roanoke, Virginia, as we get ready for the first round of side-by-side monster truck racing. And none other than John Pyatt in the legendary Bigfoot Ford retained the #1 qualifying spot to give us a Ford versus Chevy confrontation in this first pair. Pyatt out in front, but Kwasniewski gets sideways, breaks an axle off, and is upside down. The crews on the scene immediately checking the truck. The engine has shut down. And now checking on Kwasniewski himself, still inside the cab of the Buffalo Tremor. Mike Wine, the driver of the Jersey Outlaw, the first one to the cab of the bright red Chevrolet. Now John Pyatt is out of Bigfoot and trying to assist the Chevy driver out of the truck. A tense moment, as apparently Kwasniewski can barely get unstrapped from the 5-point belt harness. And now Pyatt is literally trying to pull him out of the cab of the Chevrolet, as the ground crews already prepare to right the truck on the floor of the Roanoke, Virginia Coliseum. It looks like Chris Chapman has gotten to him on the floor.
John, I know you've got to be totally upset about this. This is the first time you've had it in this condition.
Yeah, I always keep the truck in good condition. This is the first time anything like that ever happened to me. I come close, but never like this.
What happened?
I don't know. I just went all out over the hill. I wasn't going to lose. I gave it my best shot, and it seemed like it just shot straight up in the air. And it caught the back bumper or something and just pulled it over.
Nothing hurt?
No, I got a hard head.
How about your feelings?
Feelings, that's about it. A lot of money, but that's it.
Well, I'm sorry about the bad luck, but we're glad you're okay, John.
Thank you.
Both machines lining up the stage. Remember, those dirt moguls just off the starting line have really made this a bizarre, acrobatic battle. Obvious problems for Garza. And Deppy and the Whiskey Business machine will advance easily to the semifinal round. Now keep in mind that the Overkill Ford suffered some chassis damage during qualifying, and that damage was apparently never rectified in the pit area between rounds. On the slow motion replay, you can see Deppy in the same beautiful form he displayed during qualifying, and the Whiskey Business truck may well be a serious competitor in this battle. Meanwhile, the next pair of machines pulls to the line as the crowd anxiously awaits another showdown. Bennett Clark taking his time, backing up and staging now. He's found the sight he wants. A clear line to the finish line. Jerry Richmond waiting patiently in the Weapon 1 Chevrolet from Ohio. And it's a battle. but the Clydesdale pulls it out with a huge leap at the finish line, bouncing to a stop with a semi-final round berth. The whole shot apparently went to the Weapon 1 Chevrolet, but it was the Clydesdale passing him in the air in an incredible come-from-behind win here in the first round of monster truck competition. And elated Bennett Clark knows he'll still be in the running. Another door-to-door battle, but it's Fuchs who comes away with the win as Wine stumbles when the truck actually nosedives into the crushed car takeoff ramp. And Wine is as stymied as the spectators as to what caused that nosedive. Let's take a look in slow motion. He comes hard over that dirt core, but there you see a part of the chassis actually broke when it landed from the initial takeoff dirt mogul. That's where the problem was, and Wine must realize that at this point. When we come back, it's more side-by-side monster truck mayhem, plus stuntman Brian Carson in the wildest ride yet. Don't go away. The semi-final round of monster truck action here in Roanoke, Virginia has the crowd literally in a frenzy as the machines head out for battle. It'll be Ken Duffy in the whiskey business Chevrolet taking on the most legendary Ford of them all, John Pyatt at the wheel of Bob Chandler's Bigfoot. The winner of these two semi-final round matchups will advance to the final round. The look of concentration. Pyatt trying to continue the Bigfoot win streak. And pulls out the victory by less than half a truck length, and again comes within inches of the retaining wall. You got to give credit to Ken Duffy in the rear-engine Chevrolet. He kept pace all the way, only losing out by a matter of feet at the finish line of this short course. While Bennett Clark lines up on the far side of the floor here in Roanoke. Certainly an interesting battle for both these drivers. They know that they want to win, but they also know that if they do, they'll have to battle Bigfoot for the championship title. Fuchs gets a slight advantage, but here comes the Clydesdale, and an incredibly close battle. They both stop literally a few feet from the wall, but we're going to have to take a look at the replay to determine the winner on this one. Fuchs gets the whole shot in the red Ford in the near lane. Now Bennett Clark in the Clydesdale comes from behind at the finish line. It is Rob Fuchs by a matter of inches. Even the Woodstock, Illinois racer can't believe that the win was by that small of a margin. But the crowd gives him a cheer as he heads into the final round to take on Bigfoot. But in the meantime, back in Minneapolis, we are getting ready to witness a legend in a field in which few have gained success. The one, the only, Brian Carson, one of the greatest daredevils in the history of motorsports exhibition action, is preparing one of his most famous jumps, taking a 4,000-pound passenger car through the air at 65 miles per hour, head-on into a wall of machinery here on the floor of the Metrodome. Carson himself is different than any other daredevil preceding him. In fact, he personifies the difference between a stuntman who presents the aura of illusion and a daredevil who cheats death itself. His job will be to take a 4,000-pound passenger car and crash it into that pyramid of machines without the benefit of safety equipment while making a right-hand turn. The car actually gets sideways on his first attempt as he moves up to the ramp. Carson knows that this particular stunt may be one of the most dangerous yet on a concrete floor covered with dirt dust, in which he must make a hard right turn at speed and hit ramps perfectly that he cannot see when he starts his run. There you see the target, his objective to hit the X marked on the second car from the top of that 40-foot high pyramid of metal. And now Carson, fully aware more than ever that the floor is extremely slippery, backs the car up to the staging area. Keep one thing in mind as the car backs up. Carson's biggest objective is to survive this jump. Why? because he refuses to use any safety equipment other than a standard lap belt. No roll cage, no neck collar, no special braces to keep the car intact. No safety equipment whatsoever. He starts the run, makes the turn, and goes for the jump. Unbelievable with the car on fire. It lands right side up. That is a good sign. The safety crew is already beginning to extinguish the multitudes of fires that have started. Look at the front end of the car, the roof itself, taking a tremendous impact. We can't see for sure whether Carson is moving within the car, but he cleaned off the pyramid of metal in a spectacular way. Still more fires on the floor of the Metrodome being extinguished while the safety crews work to get Carson out of the remains of the Buick. He appears to be moving. And he's motioning to be pulled out of the car. It looks like Carson has gotten out of this one at least consciously. And now he's pulling himself through the open window, and Carson is okay. An amazing individual as the helmet comes off. He appears shaken. Certainly he is not ready to stand on his own at this point, talking things over with his crew chief. But now he's up. An incredible job. The smoke from the explosion sifting through the rafters of the Metrodome. What an incredible job.
It looks like Brian Carson is ready to talk. And Brian, we've seen this act enough times to know that I think just about everything went wrong on that jump.
I'll tell you, I don't know what happened. I know someone beat the hell out of me in that car.
An incredible jump. I had to feel for you when you actually came in the first time. You don't like to make flybys, and when you came in the first time, that thing was dead sideways.
Yeah, I lost in the turn, and, you know, just I don't know if it's a lot of luck that we got this thing off the ramp. But you give your word, we're going to do something. You know, the conditions weren't right to do it because we didn't have a straight run in, and we had a lot of things that weren't working with us. But, you know, you say you're going to do something, you keep your word no matter if you're a postman or a stuntman, you just do it. God bless America. Love you, Minneapolis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Carson. Coming up, you'll get a chance to see the battle between First Blood and Bigfoot. Who will it be? Stay with us. 15 years ago, a monster truck had been put together for exhibition competition for a nominal amount of money, but those days are long gone. Now in the 1990s, Bob Chandler's Bigfoot Enterprises in St. Louis, Missouri is literally an assembly line for some of the most popular machines ever made. Bob, how much money are we talking about to campaign 12 different trucks per season?
The last time I sat down and figured, I spend $75,000 a year on preventive maintenance per truck. To build a truck nowadays is somewhere around $70,000, but like when I made this change to Bigfoot 8 to the computer design, I spent 9 months in the computer first and got all the roughness out of it. Then we put the truck together in about 3 months. They're actually cheaper to put together now than they were years ago. They're lighter. There's a lot more technology put in it, definitely. I really don't know what I spent on a whole per year. I know by the time I sit at the end of the year, I end up with about a zero profit margin.
How many people does Bigfoot Enterprises employ right now?
We have about 45 today.
How much equipment total are we looking at? Obviously, you've got the trucks, you've got the crew, you've got the drivers, even the building, which is sizable in itself. But what else has to go into the background of these things for operation?
Well, we have an entire machine shop for building the chassis and for some of the engine work. We have an engine room, clean room, supposedly, where we assemble engines. We have people that specialize in wiring. One of our crew starts from scratch with these trucks and wires it from scratch. there's a lot of specialty things involved here, and each guy at our shop has one specialty, but they do a little of everything.
While Bob Chandler's operation is at the pinnacle of the business, there are still a few independent monster truck campaigners left in this sport, and probably the most prolific of those independents is the 1989 U.S. Hobbit Association Camel Rookie of the Year, Rob Fuchs out of Illinois. And Rob, as opposed to a 12-truck industry with its own assembly line and dyno rooms, you basically built this thing in your backyard.
Well, I wouldn't say my backyard in my garage, but yeah, I built it all myself, and it's just a lot of work.
You were looking at yourself and maybe 1 or 2 crewmen maximum, and you're on a very, very limited budget. How much money are you putting out a year to campaign this thing?
It varies week to week. It depends on what kind of breakage you have. I would say on average it runs between $60,000 and $90,000 to keep the truck running for a year.
And like I said, all the maintenance during the week is performed by you and maybe a few volunteers, right?
Yeah, all volunteers. They're just friends that come down and help because they enjoy it and want to see me do good.
You still somehow manage to keep this truck competitive with even the highest tech Bigfoots and Barefoots. How do you do it?
Just a lot of hard work and help from my friends, and got a lot of luck. I mean, I'm surprised it's as competitive as it is because it's giving away about a ton to the rest of the trucks.
What is it going to take to make this thing win the World Championship for Camel?
I'd say lose the 2,000 pounds that I'm carrying, and just some luck.
An all-board battle between one of the highest dollar pieces of machinery in the history of monster truck racing against a machine literally built in a backyard garage in upstate Illinois. It's Bigfoot and John Pyatt against the guy they call the working class hero, Rob Fuchs, the unsponsored independent in the First Blood Ford. Fuchs, the Rookie of the Year in 1989, finished in the top 8 of the U.S. Hobbit Association World Championship battle last season. John Pyatt finished in the top 4. And Fuchs would like nothing more than to slay the giant in this David versus Goliath battle. But at the finish line, on the nose and into the wall, it's John Pyatt and Bigfoot taking the victory. A valiant effort by the First Blood driver. Rob Fuchs left the starting line right with Pyatt, but the Bigfoot machine came on in the top end to drive away. On the instant replay, you can see that there was no advantage gained on the initial reaction. But in the air is where Bigfoot picked up, then hard on the nose and hard on the brakes, just tapping the wall. John Pyatt steps out to the cries of the crowd. They love every minute of it when Bigfoot comes away a winner. Chris Chapman is standing by with John Pyatt in the winner's circle.
John, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you. It felt really good.
Did you think that you were going to really maybe have to do a little bit more than you expected going in against Rob Fuchs?
Yeah, I've been kind of testing the track out every run, pushing a little bit harder and harder. I knew I was going to have to run real hard to, beat him in the final. That was the hardest I hit the hill, and it pushed him pretty hard. I took a good hit. My back's kind of sore.
Something about whenever trucks come up against you on that far lane, they like to get out of control. Did you see him getting out of control?
No, I didn't really see anything except the wall and the ground and a few other assorted things. But
I didn't think you were going to stop. All the camera crew were standing in there. We got out of your way. What was going on?
The truck took a funny hop when I came off the cars, and we can make sure it doesn't get real bad is get on the throttle hard. So I had to get on the throttle and then instantly hit the brakes.
Did you see flashbacks of the Buffalo Trimmer?
No, I didn't. I didn't really have any trouble with my truck bouncing around bad.
Well, congratulations. Second out of a field of 9 ain't bad.
Not bad, but we'll see if we get first tomorrow.
Thanks for being with us. I'm Brett Kepner. We'll see you next time.
Well, that's a wrap from the Roanoke Civic Center. I'm Chris Chapman. Good night and good trucking.